Hi, guys, and welcome to Tickers from the Limitless podcast. On this series, we review listed companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I'm Matthew,
I'm Thaon.
and today we'll be talking about Supreme Ventures Limited, ticker as SVL. But before we get into the video, we would love if you guys would subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or follow us on your podcasting platform of choice. It really means a lot to us. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs by the end of 2025. And without further ado, let's get into it. SVL. So how are you feeling about this one, Thaon?
Well, before we recorded this, I was saying I felt like we recorded this episode already, but I think that was because we were just talking about it on a separate episode slash recording slash just chill chat kind of vibe. So I think it's gonna be exciting to actually dive, deeply into, SVL and so on. I haven't seen many people review it outside of like maybe our investor forum. So I think it's gonna, naturally. So I think it's gonna be good for us to just dive into it. Everybody knows Supreme Ventures Limited. Every growing up, Cashpot, Lucky, all of them things, right? And everybody knows it. Like whether it's in the middle of the TVJ news growing up, or even remember they used to have their ads in the middle of like World Cup or in the middle of Olympics and so on. The hottest thing could be going on, Cashpot a draw. So but there's a ton more to the company that I'm excited to dive into. So yeah, bro, take it away.
Okay.
You ever buy anything from SVL?
No. So I was actually trying to, for this episode today, I wanted to, I thought it'd be cool if I bought some scratchers, but the places that I went to, like the ones that I guess were near to me, because I guess it's a Sunday, they weren't open.
Okay,
so sadly, I missed my chance to win the lotto. So yeah, so the next time we do our SVL episode, it won't be on a Sunday, and I'll be able to buy my scratchers and win.
Okay, let's see. I had scratchers once. I think I was gifted though.
Scratchers. You won anything?
No. Yes, actually. Sorry, it was like $100, I think.
How much does the scratchers ticket cost?
I don't know. I never paid for it. So
okay. I'm wondering if it's.
Did I win it off Khalila's show? I'm trying to remember where I won.
She gave away scratchers?
I think so.
Oh.
I feel like it was on a taking stock or something I answered. I won twice on her show. And yeah, one of them I won. Well, both I won. Was it no, I won 10K from Ideal Portfolios. And that was me, I think, answering what price Mailpack IPO'd at, and it was $1. And I won, I can't remember what the second thing I won was. Well, I can't remember the second question. But I won a shirt. Let's get this money t-shirt. Yeah. And that was actually given to me by her husband, who ended up being my consultant at some point. So yeah. Funny how that works. But yeah, and it was free scratchers. I won $100, and I'm like, yo, it's not worth the effort of me trying to just get this. So I remember just losing the scratchers ticket. So have I won anything? The short answer is no. Maybe one day, but I'm not a gambler, so I've never actually bought something from SVL. I sound lame. Okay. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Okay. So Supreme Ventures, ticker as SVL, usual tickers format. How do they make money? What's going on around them? What are some possible futures? Who owns it? And what's the sentiment like currently? So, we already, I guess we're talking about how they make money and stuff. SVL has, different arms and such. So they have, their different lotto products, and then they have lots of different packages and competitions and stuff. And they also do like sports betting. So, football, track and field, all those different sports. Funny enough, I think, I don't know if it's them specifically. I remember at one point, you remember a comedy was like saying that I think one of those companies or something does, I think, esports betting too.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know
yes.
if it's SVL specifically, likely them, but yeah,
Maybe.
so
And I think
it's
it
not even, I
was,
don't,
what was the
League of Legends or
esports he
something.
was? League of Legends. Yeah, League of
Mm,
Legends.
yeah.
Huh.
So the
Wow. Big
sports
up comedy.
betting.
Comedy,
Yeah.
comedy pay him way through school. Getting school fee through sports betting, bro. So big up comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of sports betting. They also sell phone credits. They are, I think, the largest seller of phone credits in the island. So the phone credits is a big way that they
Yes,
make
that's
money.
true.
And they also have like where you said they do different finance or financial products and stuff. Like they do
Mm-hmm.
loans and other stuff, which we can talk more about.
Yeah, they're really a money company. I
Mm-hmm.
know most people think betting, but when I think of them now, after looking at them,
Mm-hmm.
it's just they handle a lot
Mm-hmm.
of money, a lot of transactions.
Yeah, because they call them, I think I've heard them, the CEO and stuff, they call it the Supreme Network.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the Supreme Life Network, because it's just, they really have what would you say, a strong distribution network, because almost all, like, I don't know the number of retailers they have, but it's in the thousands.
Yeah,
It's not hard to find a place that sells
a corner
some
shop
of their products or something. Yeah,
that's
so it's like a
that
lot
sell
of,
like credit. Yeah,
so you can walk, yeah, and it's just a few minutes, and
yeah.
it's all over the island, so it's something. And then they have all of their different products and such. So I think one of the big things is really the network and just the
Mm-hmm.
locations and stuff. That's a big asset that they have, because like, okay, you can sell that one, so you can go there to buy a cash pot or your scratchers or whatever thing, but then you can also go there to buy phone credits, and you can also go there to do other stuff. So they're trying to build out
Mm-hmm.
that supreme network that they talk about. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they have, yeah, I said they have their different lots of products and such. And then I guess the more common one that a lot of people know would be like Cashbot. Mentioned that, sports betting, the different sports, track and field, football, horse racing, all kind of different sports that they offer. And it's not just like sports. It's not just old Jamaican, like old sports going on in Jamaica. They have their other sports too. It's all across the world: volleyball, basketball, hockey, all of those, NFL, all those different stuff. You can
Mm-hmm.
bet on these different things, and they have like all these different. It's not just okay who wins. It's like you can get very detailed with it. Like I remember, like when
Mm-hmm.
some of my friends or someone would tell me about how much, like, you could say, oh, if this, it wasn't just okay, this team would win. You could bet and say how much they would win by. It's like use the score 3-2, 4-2, or whatever goals are scored and who scored and those kind of stuff. So you can get really detailed with it.
Can you click one and show us? I don't know if that's possible here. Oh,
Uh,
you're not on the site.
no.
But yeah, I know there's so many different permutations and combinations for betting.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell who you can bet who will score or who will give an assist or that
Mm-hmm.
they'll score so X by X time in the match.
Mm-hmm. The time that
You know.
that's yeah, and you can get like really high multipliers and stuff if you're right, I
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah, I've been actually seeing this guy on Twitter. Jeez, I don't remember his name, but he posts every single time he wins, and he'll bet like 10 grand or 5 grand or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
the man will win like 200 grand based on the
Mm-hmm.
multipliers and so on. Yeah, you could make very
Mm-hmm.
small bets. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and win so much money. So much money.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's crazy? So there's a clear difference between investing and gambling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because gambling is pure chance. But I feel like sports betting, this is my wild take on this. Obviously, a lot of people, may disagree with me, but I feel like sports betting is a bit
Mm-hmm.
different from something like
Cashbot.
blackjack or cash pot or so on, where something is
Mm-hmm.
purely up to chance, purely up to some random person rolling
Mm-hmm.
a dice or picking a number out of a lot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a striker is on form, if it's Erling Haaland, maybe last season, you
Mm-hmm.
know that guy is going to score in the match, right? Because he's just on fire. Or
Mm-hmm.
Manchester City is going to win a game against a team that's probably going to be relegated. That was last
Chelsea.
season. Yeah, Chelsea, we cannot bet on Chelsea. That's one thing I know. Sorry, I'm a Chelsea fan, but we drew today to Ipswich, who is being relegated, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So cannot bet on Chelsea. But there are
Mm-hmm.
certain teams that are very much in form. And if they're playing like a weak team, it's not just random chance at that point. There is
Mm-hmm.
a percentage that you can win. So that's just my hot take on sports betting and certain type of betting. The risk is different based on the scenario and so on. And the amount of permutations and combinations you can win pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not a gambler still. Just say it.
Yeah. But yeah, so the sports betting, and then I mentioned phone credits, and they also have, I guess, technically loans and other stuff or other financial products. So I think it was 2023 that they actually bought a stake in Dollar Financial, a microfinance company. I think it was a 15% stake. They
Mm-hmm.
also have their own microfinance arm under like Supreme Ventures financial, Supreme Ventures Financial, yeah, SVFL. Because they have they own a company called Michaela
Mm-hmm.
Financial Services. They used to have they now own it fully. I think they increased their stake in 2023. I think before it was like they own maybe like 40 or 49% or something like that, or 51 or something. But they now own all of that. So that's also just like a Dollar Financial does, different loans and stuff. Michaela Financial is a part of the Supreme Ventures group, and you
Yeah.
can get loans for different things. So like this is their website. They say, oh wow, look at this with MFS. You can borrow up to 5 million. So you can borrow for up to 5 million, choose your
Yeah.
payment period, get your cash. And then they have personal loans, business loans, premium financing, and they even have like calculators and stuff on their website. So you can borrow, and it makes sense, I guess, because SPL has, I guess, a good amount of cash, and then they could probably help, with that, bridge that gap there. And then they also
Yeah.
have like this Evolve, what they call Evolve, which was like which had things like loan. I think what they were talking about at once was like they would offer loans to some of the retailers that they already had. So it's like, okay, if you were already working with us, you can now borrow some money to maybe, I don't know if it was to maybe expand their business or do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they even are expanding it out because they're looking into things like money transfer, like remittances and such,
Yeah.
and bill payments. So once again, it's like building on that whole Supreme network. Because like, okay, you already come in to here for this, you already have the locations. So you can, instead of just buying your phone credits, it's like you can now get your money from your relative from the US or the UK. You can
Mm.
also use that to then pay a bill, and so they're really just like, oh, you have a bank. It's like like you have a lot of these smaller different outlets all over, and you can do some of the same things that someone would do at some other like like a Paymaster and those stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that at some of their networks, and once again they have a lot of locations. So, and it's already somewhere
Mm-hmm.
that you're going. So instead of going to buy a cash bus or going to buy your phone credits and then go to Paymaster or something, you can just do everything at that one place.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You ever think of
that's
them as like a bank? Because they offer so many like money
mm-hmm,
services. So,
mm-hmm,
okay.
yeah. And then they also have a stake in this company called Keo, Keo World. They bought the stake in February 2022 for about 150 mil Jamaican. They are essentially this startup company. They were founded, I don't remember, a few years ago, maybe like 5 years ago. They do, I think it's kind of like bridge financing and stuff like that. So, well, this is actually their website. They talk about like we pay, you grow. They help with business to business payments. So it's like, oh, if you, I mentioned things like inventory financing. So it's like, okay, my understanding was like, if you're a business and you want to buy, say, some, maybe let me use that. Can I use the actual code? So like say JFP has what they want. Maybe they make some chairs or, office, whatever, and they want to sell it to Total Office. So Total Office wants to buy it from JFP. So it's like, okay, they're going to need money to do that, but maybe they don't have the cash right now, but they know they're going to get paid in a few weeks. So it's like, my understanding was that Kia World can offer products where, okay, you can help with that financing, and it can be, a lot of it can be done online and like very automated, and I guess they'll earn fees off of those kind of transactions.
Yeah, it's for like, I guess it's, I remember them doing it for those small companies that have cash flow issues. So as you said, like inventory management, like purchasing inventory now and paying it at a later date. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know that you're gonna get this money soon, but it's just you want to do this thing because right now you have this opportunity. They can help do, instead of going to like a bank and such, you can go to this company. So yeah, they earn money a lot.
Mayberry funded them recently, from my understanding.
Yeah, I think Mayberry also bought in, but SVL directly also bought in too.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so those are a lot of the different ways that they make money, and they do actually show they give you like a breakdown of well, this is for 2023 data, like how much they actually make. So the bulk of their money is still the lotto and sports betting. That's like, what's that? Like 80% or so, and then the rest is like the pin codes is like 25% or so. Yeah, so like 75% is like lotto, sports betting, with the bulk of it being lotto, like 45%, sports betting being like 30%. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how some of the ways that they make money. And in terms of like what's going on, I mean, things to watch, well, once again, we said Dollar Financial, but they also, I should just mention that they also own a stake in Main Event. Main Event, I think
Yeah.
I think they are, how much percent is it? Do you remember?
No, but
How much a Main Event they own?
I remember the
It's like
synergies.
10% or so. It's 10%, yeah. So they own 10% of Main Event. So they're also in, and it makes sense too, because if you look at even, oh wow, something I just realized I should have said under the sports betting. Well, not necessarily sports betting, but they also Caymanas. Remember
SVL.
they have an agreement. They lease Caymanas, I think from the government. I don't know if you will. Maybe some people Jamaicans have probably heard of Caymanas Park. And the host, like, events are hosted there. Horse racing, all of that stuff. And yeah, SBL has that agreement to like manage Caymanas and stuff, and then it can make sense, I guess, with even like Main Event. Maybe what if Main Event was to say there's like a party, people host parties at Caymanas, so then maybe Main Event can help with that.
I feel like
we could be the.
I think a Frenchman was hosted there. Out that side, yeah. I see parties are hosted out there. I think there's Smirnoff or Heineken. One of them had a big party out there too. But yeah, that's SVRL is what I was saying. The Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited. Yeah, I think that's also that subsidiary that you're talking about. That's really involved with. I think they just manage and like promote horse racing at Caymanas Park and so on. So yeah.
And I mean, other things to the regulator, the Betting, Gaming and Lottery Commission, or the BGLC. They regulate like the gambling industry and such. So that's even something I'd think to look out for. You know, if there's any change in any like the regulations, because maybe those changes could be good or bad for SBL. You know, I know that, you know, gambling can be dangerous. You know, people can, you know, fully gamble and lose money that they can't afford to lose, you know. So you have to try, and then there's also other stuff, because like, there's like a whole, I guess there's a lot of illegal gambling done too. So there's another thing where the BGLC tries to regulate that and stop, because if it's going on, it would, and when it's illegal, it's like the government isn't really getting tax
like
revenue from
revenue.
that. Like SVL is a big payer in taxes to the government. So it's like, if you have, I guess, more of the gambling being done like in a regulated sense, that means that that's more revenue for the government. And you can also make sure that certain things that shouldn't happen aren't happening, I guess.
I think I remember I think Chris Berry was saying it in a Mayberry investor forum, or there was something online where he was saying that, you know, a huge portion, I can't remember what he said. I don't know if it's the entire regulated segment of gambling. Let's say that was a company and it had like a market cap. That same amount is done outside of, you know, those regulations. So we have a huge unregulated gambling ecosystem right now. So it is in the government's best interest, as you said, you know, to crack down on those kind of things. Because there are even things that I didn't know, like, you know, you can't host like an online, like a gambling competition. Like I remember where this prominent, this person, he was giving away a vehicle, right? If people did certain things, I don't know if it was with trading or whatnot. And, you know, I think there was a whole crackdown on that and so on. And in my head, I was just like, well, I didn't know that was illegal. That was also years ago, right? But in my head, I'm just like, oh, he's offering up a car to, you know, somebody that does, I don't know what it was in trading, but they signed up or whatever it was, right? So there's certain things that I didn't know were illegal, but they cracked down on that. So it's in their best interest, because that's how they get paid. So, and that can only also do good for SVL, since they have such a huge market share on the gambling industry in Jamaica. Because if more has to be regulated, right, who you think is gonna do it? So
yeah. Oh wow, just random thing. I should actually big up the BGLC, because I got a scholarship from them.
Oh really?
In university.
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't even know that. That's crazy. Big up.
Big them up. And yeah, you were mentioning like with SVL and other, they basically run gambling in Jamaica. There were some other, well, I guess they still, I think, are going on. There were these other people or other businesses that tried to kind of, and I think I have seen an ad for one of them on TV or something in the past. So one of the companies was Goodwill Gaming.
Oh, okay.
Their own was like called Lucky Play. They launched that in February 2021. Interestingly enough, their product, I think, was called Big Pot. And the logo looked pretty similar, I think, to SVL's Cash Pot. So I think the Big Pot was their version of Cash Pot, and SVL actually like sued them.
Oh wow.
And won. Yeah.
Wow.
They sued them and won, because they were like, hey, this kind of looks a bit too similar. And Ian, that's the company is actually Ian Dare, the chairman. Ian Dare from like Express and stuff. Yeah. Trying to see if I have a picture of the logo. to show you that it
Wow,
was
of course
very.
David wrote that.
Oh yeah, see here, big pots.
Big pot versus, let me see the cash pot.
Yeah. So I think it was. I think it's maybe it's probably not the just how it looked. It's probably I guess more the name. Like maybe it was 2-7. I'm sure they probably go more detail with the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's not my domain. That's for the lawyers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, the might of power, the might of money, because they, as you said, they have a monopoly. Wonder who the second one was.
Yeah, and then the next one was the company Maho Gaming, or
Yes,
Is
it's
Easy.
easy.
So that one is funny because that one was I think this one is affiliated with like PB Scott. They had the directors, I think, on the
What's her name? I'm trying to remember her name.
Lake.
No. Who is the CEO
Of Maho?
of Is Easy?
Trying to remember.
Pretty sure it's a woman. I'm trying to remember her name.
President I see it was Christopher Caldwell.
Oh no, wrong person I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the wrong company.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you say PB Scott is a director, and I found it funny that it's like you're seeing, because like if you met it, Mayberry is a very large shareholder in SVL, and then one of the big guys at Mayberry, Gary Peart, he's the executive chairman of SVL, so he runs SVL, and so it's funny because it's like you say business, because with my whole gaming, remember I said, okay, if someone like PB Scott and such, he is affiliated with Seprod and the Musson group of companies, AS Bride and now CPJ. But you meant like, okay, Mayberry does deals with them,
Yeah.
When it's like there, I guess he was like, yo, let's me and our team, we're gonna start a lot of companies to give them some competition, or to try give them competition. I don't know how well.
I don't wrong him. And you're right, they've done a lot of business in the past together, even selling.
So even the CPJ, the CPJ deal.
The CPJ
and then the
deal.
same AS Bride and takeover bid, or the AS Bride, like whole thing where like you could exchange your CPJ shares for AS Bride and shares.
And shares.
Mayberry, I think, was the broker for that transaction too.
Yeah,
so it's like,
and
okay,
even,
we can
even Lumber Depot.
Yeah, they sold their stake to
Mayberry selling their Lumber stake to the Musson Group, to PB Scott.
Or
to
I don't think,
PB.
was it Musson or Stony Hill?
Stony Hill Cap.
Yeah,
which is still
Musson.
Musson. It's still PB Scott. It's still
I don't know
PB
if it's
Scott.
under. Yeah, I don't know if it's under Musson.
Yeah,
but I think it's PB. Yeah.
Yeah, but same thing. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to probably look at the regulations, what's going on, if there's any changes with that, and also the possible synergies with the other affiliated companies, Mayberry, Main Event, Dollar, and I guess the other competitors, as we said, not really. They don't seem to be competitors still, but
you see how you have like Dollar here too. It's crazy just to see their growth even from a decade ago, because they weren't into microfinance. They weren't into a lot of these kind of industries and so on. So for them to have a large stake in Dollar, Michaela, I don't know if they're gonna, maybe you see Dollar acquire Michaela one day or something like that.
The chairman
Who
actually,
knows?
I think, hinted at that on a briefing. It's like an investor briefing, like he was talking. Maybe I can try to find the clip. Like he was talking, I think he was saying that, because SVL basically has its own microfinance businesses that they're running, and then they have Dollar, and then they're saying, hey, we could technically, what if we were to maybe sell that business to Dollar, so that we could make the stake in Dollar more valuable and stuff. Exactly,
and you earn a fee off of that too. Pay broker that deal.
And guess who's the broker? Yeah, guess who's the broker?
It's brilliant actually. That's how powerful having these kind of companies is, because you could own maybe a clothing store company, right? But you could also own like a whole financial network. Like
Mm-hmm.
SVL is such a powerful company in terms of what they can do financially, who their backer
Mm-hmm.
is as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
Mayberry. Like it makes so much sense. So
Mm-hmm.
they can go in any direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some, possible things in the future. They have been
Said direction. Yes.
speaking about expansion. So, I think they've essentially kind of tapped out our market, so the Jamaica market in some ways, because as I said, they basically control the market. Um, yes, they can, try to get like more efficient and
Mm-hmm.
maybe get into some maybe other people who typically don't gamble and such, but there is still somewhat of a limit, and they're saying, hey, we really want to grow this business, we want to double or triple our revenues or whatnot.
Yeah.
And to do that, we're going to have to, or one of the things that we could do is look into some other countries, and I think it was about maybe 2021 or 2022, they had announced that they would be going to Ghana. So that was a big, they set up a company there. It's not doing it, they're not doing it fully like by themselves. It's like it's like a partnership with another company. The company is called Game Park, and they essentially help provide like what they call technical services and such to them. And so I don't think that sadly they don't break out they don't like tell you, oh, the revenues or profits directly from that division. And the other thing is that they haven't been I don't think they've been very specific sharing the specific model that they have with Game Park. I assume it's likely a percentage of the revenues or profits or such. I don't know if it's like 10%, 5% or such. But yeah, they are really bullish on Ghana, almost at all of the different investor briefings I see, they keep speaking about Ghana, how they're pushing there. They're trying to gain market share because the Ghana gambling market, well, the Ghana's population is a lot larger than ours. It's over 10 times our population, so like 30 million or so.
Yeah.
But technically, we have, I think, a higher ratio of, because we have less. So yes, Ghana has more people, but it's like, I guess if you worked out like the ratios, it's like in Jamaica, they're able to squeeze out more revenues and profits even with that smaller population.
Yeah.
But I think the Ghana market is interesting for them because the Ghana, like, even though gambling is really popular in Jamaica, it's very
Mm-hmm.
popular in Ghana too, and it's also increasing. So they're like they're different like things like revenue projections and such, in terms of how much the market could be worth, if it keeps increasing. And I think another thing that is also kind of going on in Ghana, I think the regulations, I think they are
Yeah.
likely, I think they're less like strict, I guess, than Jamaica. Okay, it's it's still, I guess, it's a growing industry and such. And there are
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other. They aren't the only company that went into Ghana. Like I think I was reading an article that was talking about like over the last few years, it went from like 10 operators of like lotto and stuff, or different gambling services, to like 30 or something like that.
Mm.
So it's there are a lot of other people are kind of seeing, hey, this is an opportunity. Like these people really like gambling. And it's even funny, the government of Ghana actually runs. They are one of the largest operators of lotto, the national, what do you call it,
Really?
National Lottery
Oh.
Authority.
Mm.
Yeah. So the government actually does its own, technically does its own, I guess, lotto through our company. And
Well,
so
they
yeah,
also the government had a tax on
yeah.
I
So I think
think it was
they
a ten
tax
percent tax
I think
on
they
all the
tax the
bettings and winnings, a lottery.
yeah, I think it was the winnings like at 10%. And
Mm-hmm.
it's
It was
like they had
10%.
put it there, and then it's like they took it back recently though.
Yeah, they repealed the decision earlier
Yeah.
this year, actually. They announced plans to repeal. I don't know if it was
Well, no,
fully repealed yet.
based on what I saw, they did April. Like there saw an article that
Oh
was saying
yes,
that they
yes. They
did actually
did.
take it back,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's even saw like SVL. I think it was a forum, like a
Do
Mayberry
you know?
forum, that they actually
Wait,
said,
question though. Do you know how much money they lost from that? I was actually reading an
from
article
what?
on because
Oh, from
imagine the size of
the
the gambling industry. Yeah, repealing
mm,
that 10% tax. I
mm-hmm.
think there's a gambling insider. There was
Like an
a
estimate of how
quote.
much the lost revenue that
Yeah,
the government
and
would.
it was about
Mm,
410 million like US
mm,
dollars. That's how much it
mm.
estimated to be. And I was just like,
Wow,
jeez, yeah, that's
this
crazy.
sounds a
Yeah.
bit.
That's a wicked
Sounds a bit
impact.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought they would have just reduced it, but they just got rid of it completely. So, hey.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, essentially the market, the Ghana market, is a growing. As I saw, like even a projection, like what's this from Statistica? Like there was a projection in terms of like what the market, the revenues. This was saying that the estimated revenue from the gambling market in Ghana is projected to be just under $1 billion. They said projected to reach
Yeah.
915 million US in 2025. You know, and it's saying that by 2029 they expect it to be basically just under like $1 billion US. That is a quite a huge market, like quite a
Yeah.
big deal if they can, because I think let me see. So what I saw, like for example, for SVL's gambling revenue, I think for their last financial year it was maybe like 250 mil US.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying, oh, this market could be worth almost $1 billion. It's like, yo, if they could get like 5% of that or 10% of that, that's a pretty, that could be
Yeah.
something pretty meaningful for them.
Quite.
Pretty meaningful for them.
Quite.
So yeah, I think that's where they're pushing. And it's not just Ghana though. I think there was a point where they were trying some stuff in like Guyana, but I think that's gonna take some time. And
Mm-hmm.
I think they're more focusing on Ghana right now. And I even saw at another briefing a few weeks ago, there was actually, I think the chairman was actually saying that what he said, that they would try to break even with Ghana for 2025, and he said it's also very likely that they'll be in another jurisdiction by the end of 2025. So they're not
Mm-hmm.
just stopping. They don't seem to be stopping just with Ghana. Like they're saying, hey, once we kind of find that formula, we can replicate it. Maybe it doesn't have to be just us. We could do it like a joint venture or something, partnership with someone, like they did with Game Park. So you do this, we'll do the technical side, and we'll help give you advice, because we, did well with gambling or lotto and stuff in Jamaica, and we'll apply that to the other countries. So my guess would be it would be another African country. I saw like South Africa, I think, is another really big one. In terms, I
Mm.
think they're the largest in Africa in terms of their gambling market. But I
Yeah.
guess we'll see which. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting, because if they, once again, these guys have shown that, hey, they were able to do a lot with this SBL at the gambling business and such. So if they could apply that formula to the other countries, and these other countries are very large, they have huge markets, could be quite, a considerable revenue boost, profit boost for them.
I agree. I think though, like to caveat,
Mm-hmm.
it may be so I know South Africa is a bigger market, but I think it's also a more developed market for in terms of gambling. So it
Mm.
may be a bit harder for,
Mm-hmm.
a new player to, just like how it's easy and these other companies try to break out
Mm.
into the Jamaican market. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we have a monopoly, but if it is a country that has still a lot of other brands and
Mm-hmm.
they've been there for a longer time, well established, it may be a bit harder to
Mm-hmm.
to break out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
like hearing expansion, but I hope they at least tie down Ghana a bit more and we can see
Mm-hmm.
that in the revenues
Mm-hmm.
before they're like split the focus even further. But that's just
Yeah, that's
me.
true.
That's just a consideration for me because I haven't seen a
Mm-hmm.
lot from Ghana's numbers, nor do
Mm-hmm.
they break it out for you to be able to analyze it like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, let's
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the other things, I mean, there were talks at one point about spinning off Caymanas, like actually listed doing an IPO for Caymanas. I
I
don't think
remember
that's
that.
going to be
Yeah.
for now because I think for them to do that, they'd probably want Caymanas to really be like making a strong profit and stuff. But Caymanas, I think for the last financial year, they did not really do well. I think they said it lost like 400 mil or something like that from
Mm.
Caymanas last year because they were talking about like there were issues in terms of I think things with the hurricane. There was a lot of damage, Hurricane Beryl, and then there were like issues with like I think with fighting in between, like with payouts and all kind of stuff. The chairman talks about it on the at a lot of the briefings, and he was even saying that the government of Jamaica should be helping out more. And yeah, it was, and he was even saying that hey, like we can't really keep sustaining this. Like there could be a point where hey, if it's not working, we just have to kind of cut it. I don't know what that would look like, but I mean they're trying. So that'd be pretty interesting if they could continue to turn around. There was a year where they actually made a profit with Caymanas, but it's like they really spend a lot of money on Caymanas. So like literally they've invested billions of dollars and it's still
Mm-hmm.
making losses. So yeah, you know, if they don't really, I guess, catch it and stuff, they may have to say, hey, we have to stop. We can't just keep losing or hemorrhaging money from this, you know. Um.
Yeah. I remember watching another, I'm gonna say another Mayberry investor forum, but
Mhm.
they were talking about the goal of Caymanas,
Mhm.
and they're likening it onto. I'm trying to remember the racehorses, the big races in
Mhm.
America, and I think
Mhm.
in Dubai and these other places, and they were just talking about the goal for Caymanas and so on. And I was
Mhm.
just like, yo, that would be ideal, but even the whole, you said the government should be helping out more. There are certain things that could help them out in the government. I think they did something recently where they removed a tax on importation of like racehorses or so on. They did like some other things that would help the industry.
Mhm.
I think Ganja Claus was talking about it once because he's in that industry. I think he grooms horses and so on,
Mhm.
uh, or raises them. I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to get it wrong, but big up Ganja Claus.
Mhm.
But yeah, um, yeah, bro. I
Mhm.
don't know if Caymanas, because you're right. What would selling Caymanas even look like right now?
Mhm.
That's what I
Mhm.
thought they would do, especially with that land,
Mhm.
is because it's a lot of other land, and people do rent it out for parties and so on.
Mhm.
Honestly, and then there's this huge discourse on what could be used as entertainment land and so on in Kingston, because there's nowhere in Kingston that we have outside of the National Stadium. There's nowhere else that you can host like very large concerts or
Mhm.
events or so on in Jamaica. So, well, in Kingston specifically. So that's why you see Rum Festival move to Mobay, and you see all these
Mhm.
other, some fest and all these other places are, on the north coast. But we don't really have anything
Mhm.
like that in Kingston. So I was thinking they could use a lot of that land and actually
Mhm.
develop it to be able to host things like that. Because there's a lot
Mhm.
of parking.
That's
It's
where the main
off.
event tie.
Yeah, that's
So.
the main event tie-in because, that relationship between them and main event.
Mhm.
You have that whole, it's good for parking. Accessibility is good because it's off ferry. That's 3 lanes instead of
Mhm.
anywhere else in Kingston, which is really just 2 lanes on
Mhm.
either side. So I don't know. It's a thought if the horse racing thing. I'm not saying they should end that. I know
Mhm.
that's huge to our, culturally growing up,
Mhm.
um, and so on. I used to, on a Saturday morning, I used to listen to the races and all of that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah, if it does, that land, there's a lot of land that could be put to good use.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Caymanas, I'd definitely want to see what they do with that. Are they able to turn it around, make it, 'cause it could be something, it could be a big revenue and profit driver for them if they can find that formula or
Oh,
crack that
bro,
code.
even meds. SVL building out their fintech platform could
Mm-hmm.
also help main event, because imagine being able to sell like event tickets and so on their platform as well. Because a lot of these event
Mm-hmm.
tickets, I mean, unless they can collect JMD, because the difference is a lot of these events you have to pay in US, like Eventbrite, all of those you have to pay in US. But imagine having like a Jamaican
Mm-hmm.
platform where it would just be sick. I'm just thinking of all the synergies, all the things they could do with it, with main event as well, just
Mm-hmm.
because they are basically a huge fintech company. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did see that they have shared like certain profit targets.
Mm,
I think there was a point where they were saying that they would be aiming for, they have like a good year where some of the subsidiaries aren't really hitting those losses. Like I guess Caymanas and such, they think that 4 to 5 billion in profit is really easy. And I think their best year yet was 3 billion in profits. So they're saying essentially they could increase their profits by 30 to 60%. And I don't think this is necessarily included things like um Ghana and stuff taking off. I think this was more just Jamaican businesses or the Jamaican side of the business. And, what could that look like, for the stock price? Like, okay, if they were to, get between like 5 billion or so, and then you also like go back to dividends, like SVL is a big dividend payer. They pay their quarterly dividends. So it's like that could also even look really nice for possibly the dividend yield on the stock too. Huge profits, nice dividends and such. So, um, and then there was even something that they mentioned. I remember I said that they had a stake in Kio. They actually spoke about Kio actually planning to do an IPO possibly in the first quarter
mm,
of 2027. I think this would likely be on the US market or so. But, even something like that, I'm like, wow, like you're saying that could be a big, I don't know what percentage of the business that they own, but I think it's like a mil US or so
yes, I'm
they put
US.
into that. And sometimes, if the business really takes off, that could be, I don't know what kind of multiple, like how much, 'cause if you look at it, like you compare what what's an accountant or maybe some of the methods of, I don't know how they would value the stake, and then
Mm-hmm.
versus what the market would value it at, and if they could, like, it could be a very big jump in the valuation or such if that were to happen, and they spoke about that. So I think that'll be interesting to look out for. It, it'd be interesting if it was on the Jamaica market, but I think it was probably like the US market though.
Yeah, because I mean even the funding that was done in June
Mm-hmm.
2022, where it was led by this, I think, Montre or something growth company,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, where Mayberry also bought in or lent them money or so on.
Mm-hmm.
I think they bought in. I think that's the point where they bought in. That was
Mm-hmm.
20 million US dollars at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's not play money at all. That
Mm-hmm.
that was raised at that point. So yeah, it would probably be US market indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And something that has also been hinted at and was even possibly selling the business. You know, Technically, if there was another, there are a lot of other international gambling companies, and maybe a gambling company is saying, "Hey, we want to expand, we want to grow. Here's this company that basically controls gambling in Jamaica, a population where, okay, yes, they have a high, I guess, where we have a high percentage of people that gamble and such, so they're able to make like a good amount of money from a smallish amount of people. The company pays out strong dividends and such as a cash cow. Maybe we can buy
Yeah.
this, and then that could even be a dot with I'd love to be a MJE or maybe a
Mm.
Jamaican equity shareholder when or if that happens.
Yeah.
Because that would be them. I think the SPL is probably like 60% of their portfolio now. So it's
It's
like
majority. Yeah.
they'd be getting a huge amount of cash. And I say they could even like technically buy it at a higher price than the market price. So like, it's selling at $20. They could say, hey, we're gonna buy it at $25 or $30
Imagine
or
they said they're going to
something.
delist it too at that price, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because they'd have to buy who owns SVL? The majority shareholder is a Trini company, no?
I think it's Zodiac.
Zodiac, yes.
And then MJE.
They'd have to buy it from them okay, yeah.
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 So yeah, even something like that is something to look out for. I assume that they would want to, I guess, probably want that like Ghana side to start picking up and such.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm necessarily saying, in the next year or so, but maybe next 5 years, next 10 years, maybe it could be like a 5-10 year play.
You know what I just remembered too? Was it a Mayberry Investor Forum where Gary Peart, who's chairman, said everything is for sale at the right
like
price.
you're saying that technically anything in our portfolio is for sale if we get a good price.
At the right price. So when you first had sell the business, I was like, But then I realized, they would definitely sell the business at the right price.
Yeah. Because I mean they'd probably pay out a special dividend and then they could reinvest and buy more stocks.
Yep. Yeah. In fact,
this one comes from Limitless Podcast. Mr. Peart, I'm going to direct it to you. Would MJE ever consider exiting SVL for the right price?
Absolutely. Everything in MJE is available for sale, but for sale at the right price.
Yes, sir.
Like, if you're an MJE shareholder, when we get the right price for SVL, it will be a wonderful day.
I remember SVL traded as high as, it was stable around $30 at one point too, for a little bit. I remember it traded up to like $30 for a little bit and then fell back down slowly. But because SVL right now is what, $20? I could see them selling it for at least 30. So even our discounted price at 25, nah. Minimum I think they'd sell it for is 30. And I remember them saying that it was a much higher valued stock. This was close to like the pandemic when Scratchers just like came out. I think there was a video where they were I don't know if it was them, maybe it was earnings season. Somebody was saying that the stock was valued at like $40 or so on. And I was like, wow. We'll see. So yeah, bro, back to you.
And one of the other things that I think the whole Ghana and international expansion. So remember I said that so in Jamaica, the SPL has a company, the international company, I think it's called IGT.
Yeah.
IGT essentially does the technical services or the technical side, like a lot of software and stuff for SBL in Jamaica. And IGT is like a big international company. I think they're listed in the US and such, right? In Ghana, SPL is almost like being the IGT for a game park where they are providing the technical services. That's my understanding. So I was thinking that what they could do is possibly, well, what they have said that some of the stuff that they're doing in Ghana, they are going to try to then apply that to the Jamaican market. It's like, okay, they'll try some things, test out some stuff, and then they'll apply it in Jamaica and then try to, I guess, get some efficiencies and stuff. And I was thinking, hey, what if they were to stop using IGT's software and then start using their own lots of software that they are using in Ghana? That could be a big cost saving for them, because I think when I looked it up, I think every year they're probably paying like $1 billion or $2 billion or so to IGT. and SVL makes like 2 billion or 3 billion in profit. So you're saying if they cut down that cost, they could, significantly, running the same current business, they could, significantly possibly increase their profits.
Yeah.
If they were to do something like that. So that will be, I think, interesting. And then we also did mention the whole point about, if they would like sell their microfinance business or side, like they sold Mikhail or such to Dollar Financial because they own their stake in Dollar, they could say, hey, Dollar, you can buy this from us, increase the value of Dollar, and then it's a win-win for us.
Dollar, again, is run by a very efficient management team who knows that space pretty well. And, strategically, I mean, I think where it could probably end up, or there may come a point where it might be financially efficient for us to roll up our microfinance business with Dollar or vice versa, right? If the team at SVL does a better job of running and growing that business, then, SVL could say, hey, Dollar, why don't you roll up with us? But obviously, if Dollar does a better job, then, the reverse is true.
Oh, great. And if or when you do consider that consolidating of Dollar and Michaela, I'd love to tender a bid to act as broker to that transaction.
You're an investment banker, aren't you?
To the core.
And then they also have been talking about, like, remember we were saying about whole Supreme network? They've been speaking about remittances and how they are building, like they are going after the remittance market, which is a huge market, hundreds of millions or so of, I think it's like 300 mil US or so I saw. They're going after that market. They're also going after the bill payment market, and I think a lot of this makes sense because it's like, okay, if you already think about it, if someone is sending money, I think the big player in remittances is like Western Union, or which is GK. And then we do have a lot of different Western Union branches across Jamaica.
Yeah.
But I think that we'll likely have more Supreme Ventures retailers
definitely
than like Western Union. So it's like that suddenly, it's like just snap your fingers and suddenly you just have more, you have those places that you can now start collecting money and remittances from. And so once again, it's a huge market. So I think that and like the whole bill payments and stuff, and they've onboarded a lot of all of the major bill payment stuff like the JPS, the Flow, whatever. And I think it's gonna be interesting. They're building out their network. They're pushing into Ghana. They're going through some tough times now, and I think the stock price is reflecting it, and I think also maybe the sentiment is probably not very hot because I think profits are down. I don't remember how much exactly, but profits are down, stock price is down, dividends are down. So I think the overall
profits are down by 25%.
25% for the
that's 2023
for the last
versus
financial
2022.
Year. 2020. What about 2024?
I need to find 2024 numbers. 1 second. That was 2024 numbers. My apologies.
Yeah, profits. Yeah. So profits are down 26%. So, and then the year before, profits were also down 20%. 20%. So they've had 2 years of decline in profits. So I think it will be interesting. I think it will be interesting because I think with the SVL thing too, it's like, because even like Mayberry and how they're like, because we mentioned that a big part of their stock portfolio is SVL. It's like they actively buy shares on the market, and they care about share price because that's how their fund is valued. It's like they actually, I think, have a vested interest in the share price not necessarily dropping too much, or going up ideally. So, and then even another point, like I think it was maybe 2 years or so ago, the chairman Gary Pearce, he took his salary in SVL shares, April 2022,
I remember that too.
It said the board of directors wishes to advise of the renewal of the contract of the executive chairman for a term of 1 year effective April 2022, and the compensation is in the form of SPL shares instead of cash. I don't know if he then that renewed, because that was 1 year, so that'd be April 2022 to April 2023. I don't know if he also renewed it again and for the same take SPL shares instead of cash. But yeah, I think it fits the skin in the game, because once again, it's their bulk of their portfolio. It's a big dividend payoff for them. So it's like, hey, if the profits aren't good, the dividends aren't good, it's gonna hit our portfolio. So we need, this really has to perform, has to work out. Yeah. It's funny, I was looking at some tweets from did I save them? There were some tweets I was looking at to try, like, is it that oh yes, I see it there. Like Chris Berry, he tweets a lot about
his companies.
SPL. Like, look at this, June 2024. He's like, get paid to wait, buy SPL. And March 2023, just got 2 million SPL at 28. I think we can maintain our 30% growth rate. So in my books, it's cheap. Think about that. He was buying at 28. He put 2 million. Is he saying 2 million US worth of SPL or 2 million units?
Probably units.
Units, okay.
Yeah, see,
he was buying
units.
at 28. And once again, we said the share price is 20.
Yep.
So I mean, will he continue to buy? Like, if he was buying at 28, liked it at 28, maybe he also likes it at 20.
Yeah.
So, and I look at this August 2024, I would buy SPL at 20. So yeah, I guess it will be interesting. I think they have their skin in the game. They really want it to work out. I guess the question is, what will it work out? Will they be able to, as we said, like, push into those other markets, extract more efficiencies, turn around Caymanas? There's a lot of ifs, but I think it has like some potential. I mean, dividend yield isn't really that high at this price. I wouldn't really bet. It would have made like they pay the quarterly dividends, but the yield, I guess, isn't too hot. I think it would be more cap gains. Like, if I could see it back, where it's like $20 now. Maybe in 2 years or so, if the Ghana stuff starts to pick up and they kind of right the Caymanas ship, I could see it probably back at $30. And then
what took it to $30 before? Was it Scratchers?
I mean, they were, I wouldn't just say Scratchers alone. They were profitable. They were profitable. I think they had like worked on like cutting certain costs,
but they never had like horse racing and so on, because that was in the middle of COVID. Like, they didn't have a lot of revenue.
Wait, what? Horse racing?
Sorry, they didn't have a lot of. Sorry, was gambling on a high at that point? I'm trying to remember. There was more than, I know Scratchers was at that point where they were at the high, but I'm trying to remember what else caused them to be that high in terms of.
I mean, they're reporting like they had their best year yet.
Yeah, but why did they have their best year?
I think the gambling, like, they had like some resurgence, I think, and then I think they had their best. Just the people were gambling. I don't know if it's a stress of
gambling
of what was going on, but they had record revenues.
True, yeah, I'm looking at the revenues now. But they have record revenues now.
Well, I think I don't think Caymanas. There was a year where Caymanas actually had a profit. It could have been around the same time, so maybe Caymanas also wasn't holding them down. I remember I said Caymanas I think they said they did, like, last year Caymanas lost them like 400 million.
Yeah.
So instead of losing them 400 million, they could have been making, like, I think it was maybe 100 mil or something. So I guess there were some different things that kind of aligned.
It's 2022. So 2022's revenues were 51 billion.
Mm-hmm.
2024, they're at 53.4 billion.
Mm-hmm.
But their profits are completely different because 2022 it was 3 billion profits.
Mm-hmm.
2024 it's 1.8.
Also, that we didn't have a major hurricane that year.
Yeah, that's true. We were blessed
And
that year
they did
too.
say that's because I know that they were saying that like a lot of their, I think, networks or retailers, there was like some of them were like damaged, and they had some outages, and it took them a while to get back. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Yeah, you're right about potential though. The company definitely has potential.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, it's just a lot of little things that are going. Like they're trying to expand. They have to fix up from burial, this, that. They have a lot of little fires that they're outing, but them all. Yeah, I could see this at $30 as well.
I guess the question is like, for this, something like this, would I probably wouldn't just I wouldn't I don't know if I'd buy now.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd buy now.
Because you're not seeing any signs yet of
Not
like a
this-
significant turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it will take time. Like, it's not like I probably, like, over the next, let's see, over the next, like, you think it's really gonna move that much in the next year specifically? Like 2025, you see it closing.
Well,
It'll
not
probably
with
be
how the
meandering around
economy
this
is
price
right now. Yeah,
I think it'll probably be meandering around this price. I'm not expecting heavy stock price growth right now. Like probably over the next year. I probably wouldn't expect much. Like, yeah, we'll have its
something in
little up
Ghana
and
bingos. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. I think that when they were talking about Ghana, it's not even like, oh, they're aiming for. I think were they aiming for like break even or something this year? I can't remember, but I'm not expecting big growth for them now. So it's like, even if I was to buy, it wouldn't be like, oh, you just buy one time. It'd be like maybe like, oh, your dollar cost averages or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Not to say that I'm not going to own shares at all for this year still. But I'm just
it increased. There's like a bump in the price recently. It was trading at $18 early March, and it went as high as, what is this? $22? 21. Let me see if I can find the candlestick. It went as high as a high of 23.48. And the same month there was a low of, what is this? 1809. Yeah. No, the low of 1802. So, there's not to say, of course, you're right. There's always opportunity on the market. Right? Yeah. And that was just March. That's an increase of what? Let's say you buy it at 18, sell it at 23. That's 5 divided by 18.
I mean, that's the low and the high. Like what?
Yeah, but just the fact that the opportunity is there, it's always real. Like, people always say your market dead, this, that, but there's opportunity you could even make a 10% play off of that. Yeah. Opportunity is always there. It's just how you choose to look at it. So I do agree, even though the company is going through tough times, doesn't mean you can't make money off of the stock. You're so right. When's their next dividend? Is it quarterly for real?
I think it's quarterly.
Yeah, they have been quarterly since
Q2. No, they had a little gap. 2023 they didn't pay a Q1. 2024 they didn't pay a Q1.
Yeah, but they paid a Q1 this year. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see. Another one to watch. Yeah, guys, if you really enjoyed this episode and this breakdown, please drop a like, subscribe, because as we said, we do have a goal of 5,000 subs by the end of this year. So we'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening to the Limitless podcast. Limitless out.
Peace.